Thestalos, the Shadowfire Monarch, is a fire attribute pyro type level 10 with 3000 attack and 1000 defense. The effect is you can tribute summon this card by tributing one monster your opponent controls and one tribute summoned monster you control. If this card is tribute summoned, you can banish one random card from your opponent's hand, and if you do, inflict 1000 damage to your opponent. Then if this card was tribute summoned by tributing a level 8 or higher tribute summoned monster, you can apply this effect. Banish one card on the field, and if it was a fire or dart attribute monster card, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original level times 200. So for anyone who isn't aware, the monarchs have had various forms of support. You've had the original ones, which are the level 6 monsters, and they've had at least 7 or 8 different incarnations of them. You've got those one for at least each attribute, plus a couple of extra ones that have just suddenly appeared. Those all have 2400 attack and 1000 defense, and they vary in terms of effects, such as one, the original thestalos is able to take a card, rip that from your opponent's hand, and if it happens to be a monster, it does inflict burn damage to your opponent. Alternatively, you've got aspects such as return cards to the deck, destroy a face down card, destroy a monster card, destroy back row cards, all different varieties of different effects. Then you have the upgrade of those cards, which are their mega monarch forms. These are level 8 monsters with 2800 attack and 1000 defense, and those are level 8 monsters. They all have similar effects to the original or incarnations of themselves, but they actually boost on those effects and amplify slightly more. So you've had that level of support. The next level of support you had are with these vassals, which are the teeny tiny versions of their elite soldiers. Those are level 2 or level 3 monsters. I think most of them are level 2, and they have 800 attack and 1000 defense, and each of them are triggered off of effects similar to how to special summon themselves by linking to what's necessary within their effects. For example, the light attribute one, which is based on Zaborg, has to have you summon a token to your opponent's field. It's very appropriate considering that Zaborg has the effect when it's summoned to destroy a monster on your opponent's field. It's supposed to run along that story, and those are about trying to tribute into your higher level monsters. They're also there for consistency purposes, as the level 6 and level 8 can be difficult to summon unless you have other cards. This seems to be the newest incarnation of them, and it might indicate some form of upgrades in terms of doing this with fusioning other monarchs into each other without going into an extra deck type of monster. The reason I say that is thestalos, the Shadowfire Monarch, is a combination of thestalos and Chaos, the dart attribute monarch. The summoning on this card requires a tribute of your monster plus one of your opponent's monsters. The benefit of this is that you're actually able to send your opponent's card to the graveyard, which means they're not able to trigger off any destruction based effects, as it was sent to the graveyard, not destroyed. When this card is tribute summoned, you're able to instantly banish a random card from the opponent's hand and instantly do 1000 points of damage. Then you get a bonus effect if this is tributed by tributing a level 8 or higher tribute summoned monster that you already have. So bear in mind you have the other monarchs, which are the mega monarchs, that will meet this requirement. If you banish a card on the field that was either a fire or a dart attribute monster, you're able to inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original level times 200. This takes the side of the effect of thestalos in the burn effect, and it takes the banish effect of chaos. I think this is quite a different style of effect, and it's quite unusual that they keep it almost to a purer version of thestalos in terms of its typing and its attributes, but they kind of take the shadow aspect of chaos into the naming and part of its initial effect in the banishing. I would love to see the integrations of the various other ones and what they would be looking to do. Maybe they'll do something with Riser and with Mobius, so you can have a wind and a water attribute kind of fusion of those two cards. You could have one with Grandmarg and thestalos, and I would see that would make a lot of sense considering that the two that were paired in the Light Brigade together, they were in the main Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series, were teamed up with those two characters. The same happened with the original two in the Light Brigade, who were the user of Zaborg and Mobius, so you could actually have a combination of those two cards, but we have to wait and see how far they're willing to advance based on these skills and whether they want to follow any sort of storyline plots.